Hello, everyone. Welcome to our peer-to-peer sessions. My email list is Gold Part 2 with Alison Wells. My name is Hendrik Hernandez Resto. I am the Creative Specialist at New Bedford Creative. Thank you for joining us today. Before I go any further, please enter your first and last name in the chat along with your emails for our records. Thank you. The peer-to-peer series is geared to enrich, educate, and connect creatives within our community. New Bedford is the home of artists, creatives, change makers, designers, entrepreneurs, and community enthusiasts. The peer-to-peer sessions embrace the pulse that makes New Bedford so unique while also expanding our knowledge and connections. New Bedford Creative offers many opportunities for artists and cultural organizations. Join our creative directory, apply for one of our grants or call for arts, list your event on our calendar, all for free at our website, newbedfordcreative.org. Peer-to-peer sessions is supported in part by the City of New Bedford through its American Rescue Plan Award and Arts, Culture, and Tourism Fund, facilitated by New Bedford Creative at the New Bedford Economic Development Council. We would like to thank Mayor John Mitchell, his administration, and the entire New Bedford City Council for their continued support of the creative sector. This is just one component of a broader initiative to boost arts-based economic development and help the creative sector recover from the pandemic. Before I introduce our presenter, I want to go over the format for this session. Once I'm done, I will pass it over to Alison. Once Alison is finished, we will open up for Q&A. I will review the questions in the chat first, and then we can continue with the Q&A live. We will have about 20 minutes for questions so we can wrap up on time by 2 p.m. Just so everyone is aware, this session will be recorded. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat so we don't miss them when we open up for Q&A. Most sessions throughout this series have been recorded and can be found on our YouTube channel at New Bedford Creative in the following week. I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Alison Wells, who will teach you part 2 of the importance of retaining a solid email list. Now I'll pass it over to Alison to share more details of who she is and what she will present for us today. Go for it, Alison. I am muting myself now.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Alison Wells. I'm a fine art painter, an art educator and owner of Alison Wells Fine Arts Studio and Gallery here in New Bedford, Massachusetts. I am so happy to be here, yet another peer-to-peer session. And thank you very much to Margot, Hendrik, and all of their team that works so hard and do so many amazing things for our creative city. Okay, so today is part 2. Your email list is gold. If you missed part 1, that's fine. It's up on the New Bedford Creative YouTube website, but you do not need to see that first to be here because it holds its own, but it's important information that goes along with the first part. So the first part, we talked about email marketing, why email marketing is so important, the different platforms that you can be on for the email marketing, and also how you can build your list. And also a very important part that I spoke about in that last session was why email marketing is so much more important than your social media. And a lot of us think that social media is everything and, you know, they're chasing the algorithm and all of that, when really your email list is so much more important. Social media has its points and, you know, and it's the good things from that, but your email marketing is where the gold is. And so I'm going to be continuing my presentation today on that. So let me share my screen and begin. So in this session, I'm going to talk about 3 major things. What should go in your emails, and how often to send emails, and develop a content plan. And I know a lot of people after last session that I did had those questions like how often, what should go in there? So we are diving straight into this. What should go in your emails is going to be the bulk of my presentation today because it is so vast, but you want to think about your own business and your audience. Okay, so what should go into your emails? Email marketing for creatives should be engaging, visually appealing, and provide value for your audience. The main thing is value, providing value. What can you give? Many times we always think of what we can get, what can we advertise to sell, but what is it of value that you can share, that you can give? And I say for creatives, because most of us here have creative businesses or creative in one way or the other. All right, so 2 parts, basic email structure. This is a beginning to intermediate level. So I wanted to take you just through basic structure of how we structure it and also types of content. Okay, so basic structure, you have your subject line. So in your subject line, there are many different ways. People would say many different things about subject lines. You know, I believe it should be catchy, relevant, to the content of the email. So it should relate to the email. Now, some people have their own quirks. You go with your own personality. You know, I know people who are very quirky and they're fun. So their subject lines are very catchy. They're out of this world, wild. But if you're not that kind of personality, don't just all of a sudden do it. You know, your audience will be like, what? Unless, you know, you do it in such a way that can still relate to you. But think about it. Sometimes my email subject line might be very to the point of what it is. Other times I might play on puns or make it a little, you know, creative, a little mysterious. So you might say a couple things that might be in there, you know, grabbing people's attention. So you can play around and see. And also subject lines are something that you can see how the email does. And you can, you know, see how your subject line might have changed things. So change it up and see what works for you. Okay, after that is your greeting. So in your email, you're going to start with a greeting. Hi, everyone. Hi, friends, or dear friends. You can personalize it, which is really nice as well. I do that too sometimes, not all the time, but personalize it, especially if it's automated, okay? So I talked about getting an email platform. So an email marketing platform. For example, the one I suggested last presentation was MailChimp, and that is free. And I think that you should, if you don't have a platform, that will be a wonderful platform. I've used it for years on end, and they do these things for you. So you can have that automated name. So whoever's in your list will come up. You can decide to put first the last name or just first name alone. So it'll be Dear Alison, and then etc. right? So it's nice to have, especially for certain emails, it's nice to have that kind of, that way, because then you feel like you're talking, and you want to always feel like you're talking to one person. People, when they read it, should feel like you're talking to them. Okay, main content in the body of the email, and I will go through the different types of content. Okay, so the body of your email would be that chunk of information that you want your email subscribers to get. Then after that, your call to action, CTAs. You see CTA, it's always call to action. Clear and compelling action for the reader to take. So that's so important. Never forget that. It could be something small, but you want to ask them to do something like, oh, maybe follow me here. Or if I'm talking about artwork, I'm going to say, you know, click on the link below to see my new series, or to go to my online store, or click the link below to see the new video I made on certain tips and tricks of acrylic painting, you know. So you want to ask them to take that call to action. And then closing, personal note or thank you. Usually I always say something like, thank you for your continued support, or anything that comes to you, but you're making that closing and thanking them for their attention, for opening the email. They don't have to, right? Okay, and then the sign off will be best wishes or best regards or something, and your signature. So this is just basic, and you can tweak it as you go along on how you want to do it. But that's your basic layout for the structure. Okay, so an example of mine would be here. So on the right-hand side, this is mine. So you don't have to put an image. Now, this is what I would call like a banner, and I use that for every one of mine. So it creates like a brand identity. So they open it and they know it's from me. Not always would I have it. Like if I have another image that goes with the email itself, and it might be too much, I might just put that image alone. But most of the time I would have that at the top. So you can think of doing something like that, just an image. You don't have to. A lot of people don't. But for creative people, I think sometimes it's nice to have that. So then this one I say, hi friends. Now this a particular one was advertising my peer-to-peer sessions that I do with all of you. So this was weeks back when it just started. And that's just kind of like one example. I'm not really going into the different types, but that's one example of something that you can talk about. Because many of us are like, what are we going to talk about? What are we sending emails about? Okay, so I like to start my emails being friendly, open, maybe talk about the weather or so. I mean, that seems boring, right? But you can talk about something very briefly. So here I am. This is such a fun and exciting time of year with summer right around the corner. I believe this was like in May, corner here in New England, and social calendars are filling up with lots of events and adventures. As for me, I'm busy preparing for my online peer-to-peer Zoom presentations this summer, and I give the whole information. And so I talk about New Bedford Creative, how there are all of these different presentations by different creative people, etc. And then I give a call to action, which would be to, follow me and join me for this presentation. So on the left-hand side for this, the subject line, so this actually went into one of my updates. So I had studio updates and my upcoming presentation. Straightforward. Sometimes I just want my subject line to be straightforward. Other times I make them a little witty or, a little fun. This one was straight to the point. It was talking about different things, my artworks, etc., and also my presentations that were coming up. So that was the subject line. Greetings. Hi, name, dear, or hi, friends. Main content, as you saw there. In that section here, I will talk about my peer-to-peer presentations and other studio updates. That's my main content in that email. For call to action, click the link below to join me for my upcoming peer-to-peer presentation on. So that is part of the body, and then you go into it, right? Closing, thanks for your continued support, best wishes, my name and signature. So that is the format. So that was an example of mine. Okay, types of main content, what to write. I know this feeling because I've been here so many times, but as time went on and I got more and more practice, you can now see the picture. So don't beat yourself up on like, oh no, I don't know what to write. So just take some notes and think about these different sections. I also did a professional development with an expert who does email, who teaches how to do emails. And I learned so much from her in terms of the different types of content and how you can make it fun. It doesn't always have to be, oh, so serious, and of course it will reflect you, but it can really be a fun way of letting people know. And these were things I never knew, that sometimes there are things that you think that your audience don't want to know about, but guess what? They do. So here are some ideas for your main content that will help you build a strong connection with your audience. Okay, featured work or projects. So think about what kind of featured work. Are you a creative? Do you create artwork? Are you a musician? Or do you have a storefront? Maybe you sell clothes. What are the new things? If I'm talking about the new work that I'm working on, my projects, or I have a show that I'm working towards, like I have an art exhibition and this is my work that I'm doing, etc. Or if you own a clothes store and you're fall arrivals came in, or your summer arrivals or whatever, and then you're showing sneak peeks of these things, okay? So featured work or projects that you're up to. Showcase recent work, projects, products. Include high quality images and videos. People love to see images and videos. They feel part of it. Provide context or background stories. So that is your main content. So that's one of the emails that you can do. So think about anything coming up. If you have anything coming up, like, oh yeah, great. That means I have content that I can write. I can send an email, okay? Example. So this is one of my examples. Check out my latest series of paintings, Urban Organic, where I explore the intersection of the natural world and the urban landscape. Okay, and then I will continue a little bit about that, giving backstories, or, you know, what inspired me, etc., maybe travel, whatever. And then include photos of new paintings. Call to action. View photos below or click link to view photos. So you can put the photos right there, or you can take them somewhere else. Click the link to view photos. Now, I will always say, have a link or two in there, because especially if you're using email marketing and you're using an actual platform, like I said, MailChimp or Constant Contact, they do a lot of the analytics for you. It's so important, because what happens is that you can go back in after your email has gone for a few days and click, and they will show you how many people have clicked on that link to see your photos. It's important because then you know, oh, content like this people like. Like you could see, well, not many people clicked on it. They're not interested, right? So maybe you don't. But if a lot of them clicked on it, then it's like, okay. So it helps you decide, oh, what you can continue to do. So that was number one, featured work or projects. Whatever's in the works, what's coming up, think about that. Behind the scenes. Okay, I love this. And I love this image I got of the lady peeking behind the curtains. Because guess what? People love this kind of content. People love this kind of email. I didn't realize it. And for a lot of us creatives, we are very private when we are creating work, and almost secretive, because you don't want people to see, you know, the stages of your work that you're not pleased with. Like my paintings go through ugly stages, like the teenage years, I call it. You know, a lot of your processes, whether you're writing music or whatever, or you're a writer, it goes through areas that you don't necessarily want to share, right? And you don't have to share everything. But sometimes, once in a while, you can pull the curtain back and allow them to see some of the process. And I never thought that people wanted to see it until after, you know, I hear people would, you know, they would give feedback. Like, I really loved, you know, that video where you walked us into the studio and showed what you were working on, or you talked about some of the work, because that really is what it is. It feels like they are with you making it, you know, they've done that. And many times that even helps sales, because they buy something from someone that they trust, that they feel that they've invested in, that they know the process, you know. It's like, oh, I've seen her work on this collage, or do you know what she does? She does these layers, or do you know what the back history of that piece was? So those are things that are really important to remember. So example, I would say something like, come with me into my studio and see how my series Urban Organic came to life. And you can show some of the stages. Of course, you don't have to show things that you're embarrassed about or don't want, but you can just show a little bit of the behind the scenes. It really makes a big difference. Include behind the scenes photos and videos. Call to action, click link to view photos or videos. Sometimes I might give a link to my YouTube and I have a video of me in the studio working on something that, you know, that I spoke about. So number two, behind the scenes. Okay, so number three, another one, tips and tutorials. So we're going through all these options. And when you think of all the different types of emails that you can do, it's going to make it so much easier for you to decide, oh, I actually do have things I can talk about. And remember, these emails do not have to be long. people, many people do not want to read long emails. They just don't. Their email box is full, so they don't want. Okay, 3, tips and tutorials. Offer valuable content such as tips, tutorials, or how-to guides. This establishes you as an authority in your field. This was something that I learned over time as well. I've always been a teacher, but never did I think of sharing those things with my emails. Usually I would say, oh, I'm doing a class at the gallery, or I'd advertise it, etc. But sharing this, because you remember, it's all about value and sharing content, sharing your ideas. So this really helps sometimes. So you can give little tips. I've had videos. So videos, sharing an idea or two, or something that I did, or something that I learned at a retreat, or, another class, and I'm sharing it. Okay, example. Learn how I overcame creative blocks with these 5 simple art journal exercises. Many of you know I love to art journal. And so here's an example that I use. So learn how to do that, and I might include a small video, and it might be linked to YouTube, or it might be right in the body of the email. And again, call to action, include the link to, maybe you have a blog, you have a blog post that has the link in it, and it directs you to the blog, or a video tutorial, I direct you to the YouTube, or you can add the tips of the body of the email right in there. Again, I would suggest do a link, just because it'll help you with knowing how many people click that link. So are they interested in learning these tips and tricks? Are they interested in tutorials? So those things will always help you to know. So tips and tutorials, always good. And they can just be bite-sized. You don't have to give away a lot, but a little bit, sharing your knowledge. Okay, number 4, exclusive content. Now, there are many, I just want to say that there are many, so many more. I'm giving you 6 here, but there's so many more. These are what I've used, and it helps me a lot. But you can think of other content depending on your business that you can add for your emails. Okay, so exclusive content. Provide access to exclusive content, such as downloadable resources or early access to new work. Reward your email subscribers. So we was talking last time, and I think Hendrik said that he doesn't allow a lot of people to come into his email, and he knows a lot of people who do not just give their emails away. So when you have your email list, it is gold. They want to hear from you. So the people who remain on your list and keep opening your emails, they want to hear from you. And so your way, sometimes you can reward them, because not many people want to be on an email list. They will just bolt, or they'll be like, swipe, no way, right? So sometimes it's nice to reward them with something exclusive that's just for your email list and nobody else. So it's not like you're giving it to your social media or other areas. Or maybe everybody does get it, but your email list gets it earlier, or they get it at a discount, okay? So for example, download my free ebook, Mixed Media Painting Tips, exclusively for my newsletter subscribers. So the ebook would be exclusively for them alone, and it's free. Maybe when it's on my website, you have to pay for it. But for my email, it's free. Or get early access to my new series and get a 20% discount. So I might have a new series of paintings, right? And it's out on my website store, and everybody else can go and they can get it, but people on my email list get 20% off. So that's what I mean by exclusive content. And so you're telling them, hey, look at that. And it's showing that you're valuing them. And call to action, include a download link or a discount code. Okay, number 5, promotions, announcements, sales. Inform your audience about upcoming events, exhibitions, product launches, sales, or collaborations. So this is where you can promote. This is where you can market. sales, letting people know you have something for sale. Now, the thing about it, when I began years ago, about 10, 12 years ago, about really doing email marketing, I thought it was just email marketing. That's what you're doing. You're marketing constantly. No, people don't want to be marketed and sold to constantly. And now I'm realizing it's about relationships. However, you're in business, so you will have to market. You're not going to market constantly every week, every month, but something will come up. And your audience, if they follow you and they respect you and they like you, they know that you will be marketing to them once in a while, not every day, but once in a while. So, for people who don't expect you to do any marketing at all, then they can go, right? Because they know that it's your business. All right. So an example of this would be, join me on July 25th at the Music House Festival, where I'll be performing my new album, ... Okay. Or please see my new body of work that's right up for sale on my website or at my gallery, etc. Or I have a new art course that is now available for purchase online here below. So it's promoting, it's selling something you have for sale, or you're promoting an exhibition or a show that you may have to buy tickets for, etc. So for the call to action, include details, RSVP link, or ticket sales. Okay, so those are number 5, promotions, announcements, and sales. Okay, and number 6, which is the last one of these different ideas, just giving you some ideas of what you can put in your emails. Overview and updates, a newsletter style. And I call all of it newsletters, but a newsletter style would be, it's a longer format and they're touching on different things. So it might touch on maybe all of the things I said before. So you might touch on, okay, the new work that I'm working on. Come behind the scenes and check out this new work in my studio. And then I would put a line and then I'll have another heading for something else. Oh, my peer-to-peer sessions are coming up next week. If you want to join me, sign up for it here, and say a little bit about the peer-to-peer sessions. Then I have a line, then I have another one. What's happening at the gallery? So Alison Wells Fine Art Studio and Gallery, updates and events. And it might be AHA Night is coming up. For those who don't know, AHA Night is our arts, history, and architecture in downtown, in New Bedford. And it's an arts and culture night. So I always do something at the gallery for it. So I will have a section that says what's going on. So everything there is not for everybody, but it still feels good because you can take and leave. So people from out of town, oh, that's interesting, she's doing that. I won't be able to go, but they still can see it. They can see the behind the scenes. So different people can get different things from it. You're giving them an update, you're giving them a review of what's going on. And at the end, you could also put what's for sale, check out some new things I dropped in my store and give a link to that. Or check out my new class that's coming up this summer at the gallery, and give a link to that. So these are my newsletter styles and it's updates. And I'll talk a little bit more when we say how often, because these can be, if you don't want to do regular ones, you can give something like this, where you give a nice overview and an update. So keep your subscribers updated with latest projects, upcoming events, marketing, and behind the scenes insight, all at once. All right. So I went through all of those areas. So it really should be triggering your mind of, hey, wow, I actually do have stuff I can talk about. I can talk about my work. I can talk about upcoming events. I can talk, and sometimes in an email, you can talk a little bit, personal things, and it doesn't have to be deeply personal, but it could be like, well, I took a trip to somewhere and I got really inspired because I went to this field of daffodils or whatever. And, you talk a little bit about that. And so those are things, because remember, it's communication, it's connection. So I have a very different view on how I write emails now, because I'm writing to my community. We're a community. It's not just, cold. It's a community. I'm teaching, I'm giving, they're reading, they are responding to me. So those are the things you could start thinking about now. All right, so the next section, how often to email? And I got this question right after we did our part 1, because that is a burning question, like how often? And it really does depend on your business. It depends on you and your audience. So you have to ask yourself some questions. How frequently you send emails to your subscribers depends on several factors. 1, your content, right? What kind of content do you share? And you may share different stuff. Like for me, I have kind of different clienteles because I sell my art to collectors, people who collect my art, love my art. And I also have students, people who want to come to me to learn how to paint, to collage, to learn different things creatively. And some of them do overlap, but many of them do stay in their lanes, right? So I have to think about my content and all of that. As I said, when you have a platform, mailing, an email platform, marketing platform, such as MailChimp or Constant Contact or any of the other names I mentioned last time, that helps you to segment. So you could probably send an email to one group and an email to another group, right? And sometimes the newsletter allows you to send to all because you're touching on all the things. So think about the content. Think about your audience's preferences. What do they prefer, right? Depending on which section. Like if you just have one body of an audience, that's great. Okay, you just target them, but you have to think about what is it they like. And you can't always know that right away. It's experience and time will tell you. And that's why the links are important, because then you can see how many people clicked on the links for my new work. How many people clicked on the links for my new class coming up? How many people click, right? So you can ask yourself those questions and take that information. Also, your audience's engagement. How engaged are they? Now, don't always expect a reply. People don't always reply. But if a call to action is like, hit reply, like sometimes I would say, hit reply and let me know your thoughts about this piece, or hit reply and let me know something that I was talking about in the body. And I will get people reply to me. Or I would do something and people just enjoy it. And so they will respond favorably to it. Not all the time, and it doesn't mean that they don't like it, but you can gauge from certain topics that people will really enjoy certain things. And then you can tweak it accordingly, okay? So here are some general guidelines to how often to send emails. Okay, let's start with weekly. Now, I'm starting with weekly, but I've been to courses where there's some people who do daily. And for me, I'm not even putting it there because that is crazy. And many times, sometimes these people are high authority, they send a lot and people are still on their list. They're not leaving. Let's say somebody like Tony Robbins or something, right? But still, there's no way I'm going to do daily. And I don't want to get daily emails from people. Now, however, when people are in the middle of a launch or they're selling something, I know that they probably will send me a couple things back to back, not often. And I do that as well. If I am in like a launch or something, and I would do that a couple, but I don't overdo it. I might do it one every other day for like 4 days, right? But mainly I do not do that. Weekly, I try my best to do weekly. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, every single week. So weekly, bi-weekly, it's great. And I suggest if you are now starting, it would be monthly, and I will get to that. So let's talk about weekly. And I put a little pros and cons. So weekly keeps your audience regularly engaged, suitable for sharing frequent updates, new content, or weekly tips. So it depends on how many new things are happening. A lot of new things happening, and you keep them updated. So that's the pros. If they're following you for many, they want to know. Cons. For some people, it can be too frequent. For some subscribers, If not enough value content is provided, then it's too much, right? For me, if I'm doing weekly, sometimes I always try and give tips or tricks, or maybe something in my YouTube, teaching something new or something like that. You're giving value. So you're not just every week just talking about yourself all the time. Or you might talk about yourself and ask them, does this happen to you? Or, but it's not just about sale, 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 sell, 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 buy my this, buy my that every single week. You're going to lose your subscribers because then there's no connection, you feel cold. Okay, bi-weekly. Now, when I read these out, I'm sure in your heart, some things will, trigger, like weekly might be way too often for you. But when I say bi-weekly, you might be, maybe, right? So bi-weekly, pros, provides a balance between regular engagement and not overwhelming your subscribers. It allows you to gather more substantial content for each email, right? So it allows you that time. So, and you can think in your business, if something happened every month, well, you have an email information for that. You definitely have an email. So like for me, I talked about AHA Night. That happens every single month. So I know I will be talking about that some point in the month. Okay, cons for bi-weekly. Might not be frequent enough for time-sensitive updates, okay? Time-sensitive, like this needs to be done at a certain time. Sign up because the doors are closing, this. And usually when that happens, I would send a follow-up email. So I would do my regular scheduled emails, but when time-sensitive stuff, I will send another one. So it could sometimes be back-to-back, but it's something specifically different. Okay, so that's bi-weekly. Then we have monthly and then event-driven. Monthly, you might be saying, okay, I can do that. I can do that. So I did monthly for a very long time. When I started doing email marketing, I said I was going to do monthly, and guess what? I didn't. I did 4 months go by, I sent something. I said, oh, I'm having a show coming up. Come and, visit, see my work. And then 2 months go by, and then I do another one. Then 6 months go by, then 8 months go by. You don't want to do that. So I've learned the hard way because I think I didn't really understand how important email marketing is. Now that I understand how important, there's no way I'm going to go 6 months, 4 months, 2 months ghosting my subscribers because they enjoy my emails and they want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So monthly seems really nice, and monthly can be something where I showed you the type of content can be your newsletters, where you're giving, updates. Oh, I have a performance coming up on this date of this month. Or I had this going on. And I did a class and here are some pictures from that class earlier this month or whatever. So you choose the time in the month, whether it's the end of the month or the beginning of the month, and give us a nice update. If it's the beginning of the month, you can update the last month, okay? So your newsletter, monthly seems quite nice. So pros for monthly would be ideal for a comprehensive roundup of news, updates, and content. Less likely to overwhelm subscribers, okay? So then, you keep doing it and then they look forward to your monthly email, giving them an update. So think about something like that. The con for that is less frequent touch points, which might reduce ongoing engagement. But most of the time, you can feel out your audience, and once a month is still good if you're giving them a nice, comprehensive, like what's going on, okay? And then you can hear and see if people want more. Okay, and then event-driven. Now this for me, I've kind of sprinkled this in between because you don't want to only email them when you have an event. And that's what I used to do because I didn't know any better. And so I'm sharing what worked and what didn't work for me. Oh, so pros of event-driven. Pros. Emails are sent only when there's something significant to share. New product launch, upcoming event, special announcement. That was what I did before. And that's why I was doing an email 1 month, and then I do an email another 4 months, and then I email another 6 months, because I figured, well, I didn't have anything upcoming as something specific, like a project. So I waited until that. And I'm here to tell you, don't do that. Please don't. Keep them engaged in different little things. It doesn't have to be long. A little tip here, a little tip there, or whatever. Keep them engaged. Then when this comes up, then you present that. All right. And the cons for doing the event-driven stuff would be inconsistent frequency, which might lead to less predictable engagement. And you know what that leads to? People unsubscribing to you. Now, people who unsubscribe from your email, nothing's wrong with that, because I see it as I want the people who engage. I want the people who want to hear from me, okay? But at the same time, event-driven, like if you only pop up every 6 months, every 4 months, what's going to happen is that for your new subscribers who don't know you, you're going to pop up in their email, and they're going to be, who are you again? What is this? Totally forgot about you because they haven't heard from you in 6 months, 8 months, and unsubscribe. I do it. I'm like, who's this person? Like, what? I haven't heard from, unsubscribe, because we want to clear out that email. We don't want a bunch of junk. So the event-driven, don't only do that. When you have an event, you can pop it in here and there as it comes up, but don't be silent until that event. Okay, so those are the times. So you should be thinking about, oh, what feels good to me? If you're new to it, I would suggest monthly, and then see how that goes. Okay, and then the third and final area is develop a content plan. Now, this does not have to be fancy at all with big spreadsheets. I have a little desk calendar, and sometimes I might just write certain things, and it doesn't have to be all fleshed out or whatever. But this is coming up, this is coming up, this I'm doing. Oh, I can talk about that. Now, if your month is really busy and I can't be sending an email for each of those things per week, I can do an update at the end of the month. Or, so think about that. So this is for an example of a calendar for each week, like if you're sending weekly. So in 1 week, new product launch. I'm launching a new product. You're announcing it, you're marketing it. It's for sale. You're giving the link to your shop online or your store. Week 2, behind the scenes. And you're choosing some different things, right? And you can continue this every month if it's easy for you. If it's easy for you, you can keep that as a formula. If not, you can switch it up. But behind the scenes would be a nice one. You're working, you're in the studio recording, you're this, you're that. It could be a blog post, photos, etc. Third week, customer stories or testimonials. Like sometimes if I'm selling something, I do like to say, oh, this is what this person was saying about my product. Or, sometimes people share with me a picture in the house of one of my paintings. They say I can share it, and I would share something like that. That's always a fun thing. Or people shared pictures with me of an online course that they did with me. And, this is what I learned from Alison. I'm like, oh, this is some of my members or my students, and this is great. It's a nice way of showing how I'm helping other people. And maybe one day, if you would like, I can help you as well. So that's just one, thing. But it could be any of the things that I spoke to you before that I do. Usually the customer testimonials, I might add it in when the newsletter update kind of format. And then another one, monthly roundup, which would be your newsletter, updating what's going on. And those are nice because especially if you have things adding up and you're like, oh, I meant to do an email, but I didn't get around to it, then that's a nice one. And then you can fit that in. But think about it. Don't beat yourself up and like, oh no, I have to do this, I have to do that. Just don't let a long period of time go by. You want to think about it, maybe start monthly. Jot down. These emails do not need to be long. Start them small. Think about talking to one person, right? Because people love to feel like you're talking to them, and you are. They are in your world, your community, and you are giving them value. All right. And final slide is, I'm going to recap all of that. So I would like to say, define your goals. What do you want to achieve? Think about what you want to achieve. Do you want to increase sales? You want to build brand awareness, engage with your audience? Usually you want to do all of those things. So you think about emails that can go with these things, right? You want to engage them. You want to teach them new things. You want to build your brand. What it is that you believe in. What is your brand saying about you? What is it? And increase your sales as well. Now, number two, know your audience. Who are you targeting? You know, this is something that you don't always know. And as time passes, it changes. Mine has changed many times too. So you want to ask yourself these things all the time. Who is my audience? You know, things that happened in the world globally sometimes would change that. You know, finances, what people are interested in more, what are they into? Think about demographics, think about age. You know, who are you targeting? A certain age, a certain, you know, is it women over a certain age or younger people going into college or what is it? Who is it? Or parents of children who need, you know, lessons in art or lessons in music or whatever. Target, who's your audience? Okay, who are you targeting? And of course, you may have more than one audience, and that's when you segment and you send different ones. And I know when you send different ones, it seems like a lot of work, but it doesn't have to be, okay? And then you can also do it the newsletter style, as I told you. Number three, set your schedule. How often will you send emails? And we just spoke about that, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. Think about it. And of course it can go, you know, you don't do it this week, you'll do it next week. 2 weeks will go by, that's fine, okay? Number four, use a simple calendar or spreadsheet to plan your content in advance. I love writing down things, so I write these things down, write it in my calendar. If you like spreadsheets, you can type it out and I've seen people be very organized like that. It's just not in my DNA, but when I think of something, I write it down and I make a little chart and then I flesh it out. So those are the areas, and I hope you got a lot from it because it is a lot. That's why I separated them into two sections. But I think the main thing is enjoying it. I never used to enjoy it before, and now I do. When I think about writing an email, I really have a lot of fun because I'm talking to friends, you know, and like, what's going on? What's happening? You know, what's going on there? And also when it comes time to actually market or sell your work, it doesn't feel as sleazy because you're talking to friends. You're just saying, well, I have this here, this is what, and they're invested already because they've learned so much from you, from the tips and tricks that you've been giving. They trust you because you've let them in. You take them behind the curtain, all of that. So when it is time to sell, it's not going to feel sleazy. You're just saying, you're talking about it. Okay. So that is the second part of my email list is gold. It is very gold. I hope you all think the same way now. And yes, and that's it for my presentation. This is my last slide. Keep in touch. These are some links that I have that you can keep in touch with me. So thank you everyone for being here and listening.
Thank you, Alison.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So let me just look into the chat. Zoom's layout is new, so it always confuses me now, but I see it here. Let me look through comments to see if there are any questions. I don't see that anybody typed any questions out. So if you would like to ask some questions, please, by all means, take yourself off of mute. We'll find a way to be organized about this. We have about 9 minutes and you can ask Alison any questions you'd like. Oh, Kat has her hand up. So Kat, very nice. Awesome. Great use of the features in Zoom. Go right ahead and ask your question.
Alison, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I had a question about on the develop the content plan, the customer stories and testimonials. I wondered if you could elaborate on that just a little bit about how you approach talking about that and sharing that, posting about that.
Testimonials. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I would do an email where I would screen capture. Sometimes I would screen capture from your social media. So sometimes if I'm posting something or I have an online course and people are saying what they've gotten from it, I will take a screen post and I will post that in my emails. Sometimes I, mark out the names if I haven't asked permission, but sometimes you can just easily ask permission. Can I share this testimony? Or somebody will email me and tell me, oh, I really enjoyed this or that, or why I enjoyed it, and I learned so much, etc. And I'm like, this is a great testimony. Can I share this? Can I use your name, or I could just use initials? And then they will give me permission. Yeah, you could use my whole name, or you could just use initials or whatever. But it helps. It really, this is something that's very new to me that I've been doing. And it gives you credibility. It shows you that other people want to work with you. They want to study with you. They want to buy your artwork or whatever. I get testimonials on people who really enjoy having my work. So they might email me and say, I have a whole wall of your art that I've collected over the years. They will send me a picture and I'm like, can I share this? Can I use your name? Or I may not. I might just say, one of my collectors, and they're like, sure, you can. And it helps. It really helps. And, human nature is the kind of thing where, what is it? FOMO, fear of missing out. When somebody's making a big deal about something or product, you're like, oh, I should get that too. So testimonials for me are very important. So sometimes I will share that. Like if I'm advertising something in my email, under it, I will just say, oh, what some of my members are saying, or what some of my students said, or what some of my collectors said. And that, I think that gives a little more credibility that, oh, people are actually working with her.
I have a question, Alison. I'm from Montreal. I think you are fabulous. I have so much fun following and doing your workshops. I like what you said about MailChimp. I'm about to try it. But on the emails, when I get other things, at the bottom it says, do you want to unsubscribe? Now, is that automatic when you start an email? Can you explain that to me?
Yes,
please?
So that's automatic. Once you're in that program, once like the MailChimp, Constant Contact, once you're on that email marketing, that is provided. So that when you set it up, you will see it. It's usually there, or it comes up, or you can put it there that you copy and paste if it's not coming up automatically. But in the first presentation I give, you should always make sure that it's easy for them to unsubscribe. Never like hold them hostage. But those marketing platforms usually make it very easy. Like I didn't even set it up. When you look at your list of emails, before you open any email, sometimes right on the side has unsubscribe. Even before you open it, like you would see something and like, I don't know who this person is, boop, unsubscribe. But you should make it pretty easy for people to unsubscribe if they don't want. But it comes automatic in it. If it doesn't, then you can always copy and paste something.
What's the name of that program again? The email? No, today's. You were talking about the email, making your own email list. I'm going to go back and listen to your recording.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm just talking about, I'm calling MailChimp, but I'm not, I'm there advertising for them. I'm not getting any affiliate links, but I'm just saying it because I use them a lot, and it helped me. And also it's free, right? So if you don't have the budget to be paying for email marketing, that's a good one to start. And it goes by how many subscribers you have. So actually you have to work up to like about 1,000 or 1,500 subscribers before they start to charge you. And then they will charge you depending on how many more you have. So for quite a long time, I could have done it for free because my emails were under that amount. So you can start with that very easily, but there are different platforms and different price ranges, but it helps those marketing. So if you're not ready, yes, you could just send out emails, but I would suggest if you want to be more professional, you should have a platform that you do it with. Also, you can follow up with analytics because it provides the analytics for you. How many people are opening your emails? So if you just send emails to like your email list of regular Gmail or whatever, you don't know how many people are opening it. Plus, a lot of those people there haven't given you permission to be sending them emails. But when you're on these platforms, you know that they're there because they've signed up for something. They signed up for this and they can unsubscribe anytime. And then you can also track how many people are clicking links and things like that.
Well, I've done email marketing, but on my own. I've gone through my contact list and I've said, you know, I'm in this show or I'm selling this or how about a gift? So I've sent it out to like 30, 40 people. Some will reply, but that's not the same thing of what you're talking about.
No. And
Okay.
trust me, I did what you were doing for many, many years too. And it's better than nothing. These usually are family, friends, people who know you, people who over the years buying your work or following you, and you have a nice little list, but you're not able to, you know, track how many people are opening it. So you might think, well, 10 people replied to me, that's great, but a lot more might have opened, you know, so you need to know who is opening, you know, what they're interested in and stuff, you know, but definitely that's better than nothing. But you're going to reach a stage where you do want to have a platform that can help you grow your list and help you with different questions you might have about your audience.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else quickly? We have about 2 minutes. If not, I will do my fabulous outro. I am off mute. All right, that's it. Yeah, you guys heard me. All right, if we are good, and I didn't triple check, see if nobody else typed out anything else. 1 second.
Oh, somebody did a link. I have to copy that in the chat.
Yes, for MailChimp.
Oh, it's so easy. Yeah, MailChimp. Yeah, I think Alison mentioned it anyway in the first one. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's very nice of all of you in New Bedford. We're not that far from you. But,
Yeah.
You think that we're actually very happy that you're joining us from
Yeah,
you.
from
right? Like
Michigan.
that really caught me by surprise. I was very happy about that.
Yeah, thank you. We're even happier about you.
Hey.
Okay.
So, no other questions from anybody else? No? All right, I'll do my outro. I want to thank you all for this, for your time this afternoon. This was a great session. I'd also like to thank Alison Wells once again for their hard work. Also, I would like to thank our funder, the City of New Bedford, for making this possible. Please be sure to visit our website, newbedfordcreative.org, and find our free creative directory. This is a list we use to promote on our social media throughout the year. Make sure to add your events, galleries, exhibitions, or more to our calendar page that is linked to South Coast Today. We want our creatives to excel, and we are here to help. We have plenty of peer-to-peer sessions coming up. Please join us for our next session, The Power of Voice in Delivery and Dissemination with Paula Robinson Deere. That'll happen next week, which is July 23rd from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Zoom. I will, if someone hasn't already, I can put that link right in the chat. Or Margot already got it because she's the best. Continuing on. Lastly, a recording of today's session will be on our YouTube channel within the next week. You can find us on YouTube at New Bedford Creative. Have a great day, and thank you all for your participation.